Welcome to Blooming Wildwood Homestead. Today we are revisiting the lettuce and broccoli plants that you saw in the lettuce experiment. The lettuce has already been repotted up, the ones that were in the house. Here we have the lettuce planted up and ready to take off and grow some more. I did want to share with you what's happening with the broccoli plants and kind of the process that I'm going through here as we're potting those up. Some of them have already been done, so I just kind of want to bring you along to see what's been happening. There were a lot of plants in one container, mostly because the seed was extra, didn't really know if it was going to come up, not come up, what was going to happen with it. So it was pretty much broadcast sown inside of the cells. But all of those plants in one container is not going to be beneficial. So we're just taking the hardiest plants out and potting those up. And then we'll go ahead and set the smaller plants to the side and decide if we're going to do something with them later. But for right now, we're mainly focusing on just putting 2 to 3 of the largest plants in a pot. One would probably be ideal. We are planting a little bit heavy. Since it is very early in the season, there's a greater chance that some of them might be lost along the way. So that's mainly what we're doing here today. The soil that we're using today, this is a mixture of the Garden and Bloom organic potting mix, a mixture of the compost and topsoil that we've been putting on the no-dig beds, as well as some of our dry fertilizer. With the dry fertilizer, you have to realize that you're not going to be getting any nutrition right away. It's water soluble, so it's going to take time once the plants are watered for that to actually break down. Here we have a cell of plants. This one has 5 plants in the cell. It's not quite as heavy as some of the other ones that we've been working with. I'm going to go ahead and divide this. We'll put 2 into one of our pots, and then I'm going to go ahead and take out the smaller plant here so that we're left with 2 of the larger ones for this pot. We're going to fill this about halfway with soil. I like to make a little well in there for the plants to go. And then fill in around with the soil mixture. And these guys look great. We'll see where they're at as they continue to grow and develop. We might transplant them up again depending on how things go, or they may end up getting transplanted outside. Just really depends on the weather and how things continue to progress as we go along. You can see here the broccoli is looking great as well, and we'll just continue to let that grow and see how it does. We've got a few more broccoli plants down here as well, and then the onions are coming along. They're pretty small yet, so we're going to try and get a little more growth on those before planting them up again. Here we have the lettuce that was in the greenhouse, and while it's not growing a ton, it is coming along. But we've got some cool weather coming in and settling into the area, so we're going to try and pop these in the ground and get them tucked away before the cold weather. So even though these guys are a little bit colder out here and they don't necessarily have a lot of growth on them on top, you can see that the root system is looking really strong and should really help them to remain stable and take off as soon as it warms up just a tad. These guys are now tucked into the ground, and you can kind of see we've got some peppers that we're working on holding over here, and then of course some carrots that were planted earlier. But the roots will at least be protected now, and then we'll get a little additional covering put over them before the cold really hits. Just a couple of days after we got the lettuce planted in the greenhouse, it started to snow. We had really cold temperatures. I think it got down to 14 one night, which for our area is quite chilly. We covered it with another kind of blanket remade type of deal inside of the greenhouse. And so far, things are looking pretty good. Everything seems to have survived. And we'll see if they start growing a little bit more. The greenhouse is staying pretty warm for this time of year, and so we'll just keep an eye on things. The experiment continues. So if your plants are looking ready to plant up, now might be a great time to do that. If you've noticed growth kind of stagnating and they're just not really thriving as much as you would like them to be, go ahead and try planting them up. Give them some water, a little bit of time, more light, and see what happens. Until next time, bye everyone.